people, welcome to the channel. I'm the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon. This is a channel which is focused on art and, different projects that I personally work on, primarily my free not safe for work webcomic, Dark Horse, links down in the description. I hope everybody had a lovely Thanksgiving, if you celebrate it. If not, I hope you just had a nice week. I hope your week this week is going well. I want to thank everyone who watched last week's video. It was so long, but it got okay views, so thank you all very much for that. And also, apologies for the delay on responding to comments across the board. I was out of town last week visiting my family because I hadn't seen them since summer. And yeah, so that's what was going on last week. So this week, we're doing something it's really different for me. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, because that makes the most sense. Dark Horse, my comic, is part of the Aradia Magical Girl collective of webcomics here online. I'm going to put a link down to their website in the description. If you like magical girls, magical boys, magical people, there's just a wide variety of characters found within these comics that are made by independent creators. And I read quite a few of them myself, quite a few of the collective members. I'm just subscribed to their comics and I keep up with. It's a really great group of people. There's a lot of professional level comics. All of them are pretty enjoyable, so I highly recommend checking out the comics there. Again, link down in the description. As part of this collective, the creator, as well as, I don't know if she's a secretary or if she's just kind of one of the people who's more involved than I am, but Nan and Feathery Justice, they had spearheaded this project for an Aradia Collective Magical Girl fashion book. And I know they gave the information out at a decent time. I'd only just paid attention to what they said a week before it was due. It was due yesterday, the 30th. It was due the 30th of November, so it's December 1st today. Happy December. But yeah, I didn't have a chance to work on it while I was at my parents' just because it was a very busy week. And I had something scheduled because of COVID, and money, not just COVID, but money. I haven't been able to visit them much. So I had a whole laundry list of to-dos to help out my mom and my dad and my sister and my nephew. So I didn't have a chance to work on this, but I was able to get things done after our return from Central Illinois, and this is a portion of what I came up with. So being part of a collective is really cool because you get to know other professionals, I consider as professionally, but you get to meet other independent artists within the community, and the collective, the people in charge, they come up with some really good ideas to help get the collective involved and to help advertise and broadcast and show off the comics that are in this collective. So Nan and Feathery Justice came up with this fashion book idea. And, when I was younger, I wouldn't say that I'm old. I guess I'm getting there. I'm in my late 30s. But when I was younger, one thing that I used to play with, even when I was probably almost in my teens, I probably had stopped by the time I was 14, but we used to have paper dolls. You could buy paper doll books, right? And then there would be a bunch of different costumes that you could place on this character base. So because I was short on time, this idea of creating a paper doll of Kana popped into my mind before I traveled home to see my family. So I brought my sketchbook and I was coming up with some ideas on what I wanted to do, and we were allowed to submit up to 4 categories of dress for our character. And I was initially planning on doing both Kana and Rina because we were allowed to have up to 8 pages per comic, per creator, whatever. And I didn't have time to do Rina. I figured, Kana is technically the main character. They're actually both main characters. They're supposed to kind of share the screen time. But Kana is technically the main character of Dark Horse. So I thought of the paper doll thing because it would save me time rather than having to draw 4 different figures, 4 different stances, make sure everything was proportioned right. If I could just create one base and then just change the fashion around it. That saved me a world of time. So that's what I actually ended up doing. And that's what you see going on in the background. I initially did the base with Kana, and you know, the base, I did add a little bit of shading to her body, but her undergarments, which is just a sports bra and underwear, I figured that was the most appropriate for someone who was a teenager. I didn't want to be inappropriate with, you know, how I depicted her in her underwear at this age, because at this specific age, unlike the VDSD things that I do, this is supposed to be when she is still a teenager. So I wanted to be appropriate with that, and I didn't really go into the shading because her undergarments weren't going to be viewed with the final images. So what you see is I started with the base, I inked that, and then I scanned it into the computer, and then I printed off a copy. I didn't have to print off a copy. I probably shouldn't have, because it's kind of messed up my scaling on things. But I used a light box to just use that base over and over again and draw the different fashions over the character. I do intend in the future to do Rena. I might actually end up doing Odysseus too, but this is all 2022 plans. I am not planning anything for the rest of December aside from other projects that I am a part of. I am doing the Aradia Secret Santa this year, but it's only one image. I'm not doing the crossover exchange on Comic Fury this year. Yeah, so the idea behind this was to get the base done and colored and then work on the clothes around that base. And so the one that I'm working on, as if you're readers of the comic over on Comic Fury, or if you've watched some of my other videos, this is Kana's magical girl outfit. I've talked a little bit about this in some of my Q&As, but the outfits that appear when they do their magical girl, magical boy, magical person transformation, the clothing is based on each character's concept of what they like, what kind of fashion ideas they like. So this is a kimono, and she's got like that little sash and everything. However, the kimono is probably not culturally accurate to what Japanese kimonos look like. I did try, however, I know that there's a little bit of fantasy element on this also. And one of the justifications for it not being completely culturally correct is that this is Kana's idea and concept of what kind of clothes and fashion that she likes. Rena's magical girl outfit looks a little bit more kind of made up, more fantastical, slightly influenced with like the pants, kind of like the belly dancer pants are kind of baggy. Again, it's not culturally accurate because it's these characters' perception of what the fashion, what they find attractive, what they enjoy, what they like. So that's what I'm working on. This is her magical girl. The 4 categories that we could do were their casual dress, fancy dress, like if they were going to a ball or a party, and let's see here, the 3rd one was magical girl, I already mentioned that. The 4th one was just kind of a catch-all. It was alternative dress, and I didn't record working on that, but I chose to do Kana in her uniform. I didn't do her hat because I drew her bangs a little too big, and I was running out of time, so I was like, she doesn't need her hat. She usually doesn't wear her hat anyway. It's only in one act where we see her wearing the hat with the USSO uniform. Those are the 4 categories that I chose to go ahead and take on, since we were allowed up to 4 drawings, or we could have done like a 4-page comic. I'm definitely going to keep y'all updated on when that fashion book is coming out. It's going to be free to share and to read, and it's going to have information on the creators and the comics that were submitted. It's also, to my understanding, going to be printable. However, I don't think you can pay, they're not selling it. I don't know if they care whether or not you sell it or not. I don't think I'm going to do that, just because I don't want to, get in trouble in case that's not what they wanted us to do. But yeah, I will keep you all up to date on when this comes out. Do I have any other comments on this? I just thought it was a lot of fun because I kind of don't really take on projects like this very often. And I wouldn't have done this at all if I wasn't part of the Aradia collective, and if they hadn't come up with this fashion book project. So I want to just thank everyone who's in the collective, especially Non and Feathery Justice. They're really active. They really do a lot to promote our comics, and I mentioned them a couple times, but you know, I'm usually doing my own thing, so I feel bad for not really promoting them as much as I should. I do try to promote them on Twitter as much as I can, but yeah, definitely check them out. Check out their comics too. They both have web comics, both Magical Girl comics. So those will be at the Aradia website. But yeah, this was just such a different project, and what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm always looking for special art and things to share with my patrons at the blog level. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll have color sheets, and then maybe if I have time, I'll babble, or I'll do something, you know, something of that nature. But I think what I'm going to do with these paper dolls is I'm going to have the print-offs be available. I'm going to create little tabs, you know, to help put them on the, you know, whenever they're printed off, the paper that you bend over, the paper doll base. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll have two bases. Maybe I'll do a base where her hair is up and have like her ponytail. She sometimes wears her hair in a ponytail too. So anyway, I'm gonna find a way to make this available for my patrons at the $3 level and higher. It's just kind of a little bonus thing. I mean, it's nothing special, but it was fun to do, and it's kind of creative. It's a little different than what I usually do, so yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. This was kind of short and sweet for me, and I may be back with another video where I'm working on one of the other outfits. I only started recording after I'd already started on the fancy dress, which was the first one that I did. So I probably will be doing that video next week since I have the footage ready to go and I can just kind of talk about that. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to leave them down in the description. If you want any suggestions on how to do this, I don't claim to be a professional, but yeah, I think next time I would keep the hair separate from the base so that it would produce less work for me. I think that might be something so that I can change the hairstyles a little more, but if you have questions and want suggestions, just drop a question down in the description. But yeah, thanks again, peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.